Many people here in the Valley of the Sun are from Michigan. A lot of people from Michigan. A lot of Lions fans. So we thought it'd be appropriate to go out to Detroit and catch up with someone that's been covering this team for many, many years. Kind of set the tone for the weekend. Jennifer Hammond joins us. She does the post game for the Lions for 97.1 The Ticket, as well as she's been on Fox 2 in Detroit for 25 plus years, and she joins us now on Fox Sports 910 Phoenix. Jennifer, it's Rock along with Manuch. Thanks so much for joining us. And how exciting is it right now for that fan base to be hosting another game here?
Can I just get a little idea? What's the temperature out there today?
72.
Oh,
yeah.
It's a little nippy here. We're single digits.
And where we're broadcasting, we're at a car dealership, and right across the street is the famous 16th hole, the Waste Management Phoenix Open, which I'm sure you've seen on television multiple times. So it's everything's set, ready to go as that tournament that brings in 1 million people or so for the week is getting underway here in a few weeks.
There.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I've been there. I have been there. So actually my sister and brother-in-law live in Mesa.
Oh, okay.
And when the Super Bowl was out in Phoenix, I think it was Super Bowl 30, was that the Cowboys and the Steelers?
Yes, it was. 96, yep.
Stadium in Tempe. And I went to the Waste Management that weekend, and I'll tell you, I had a hell of a time. That is one rockin' place.
Yeah, and that's a long time ago. They've added a lot more to that since there. So next time through, you need to make plans to do that. So, when it comes to this fan base, there's so many people from Detroit and Michigan that live here, or even vacation there when they want to get out of this heat. They head up there in Traverse City and places like that, but. How, is it just absolutely nuts right now? I mean, is it just everywhere you go, it's Lions talk?
It's incredible. And I'll tell you something. I so appreciate everything that this fan base has gone through, because the year that I started covering the team was literally the fall after they had played in their last playoff game at home.
Oh.
And so it was really a hungry fan base. So I saw all 9 of the playoff games that this city had to endure the losses. I covered the 0-16 team. So needless to say, when Amon-Ra St. Brown caught that pass for that first down on Sunday night, and they could milk out the clock from there, it was just electric. I have never seen Ford Field go crazy like it did. And I'm sure you guys have seen all of the memes, everything on social media of the entire, 62,000 plus singing "Lose Yourself." I mean, it was just electric. It was really a night like Detroit has never seen, and they're hoping to run it back again this Sunday.
Jennifer, you look back at the year. They win the first 8 out of 10 games. You went, well, just maybe they can move forward. So the grit mantra, it's been profound since Dan Campbell get there, and I can appreciate that whatsoever. But what's been his mantra from day one that has carried over for this team to start and win 8 out of their first 10 games that has continued to carry over into the playoffs?
Yeah, and it's interesting because a lot of people think of the grit mantra as being something that's kind of a cliche or maybe organizationally manufactured. It isn't. It isn't for 1 minute. And not only is it something that Dan Campbell preaches, lives, he walks the walk, it's also Brad Holmes, the general manager. It's also Sheila Hamp, the team owner. And every single person in that organization, when they came in, they knew that a major culture shift had to take place. And that is exactly what they got down to business to do. And they wanted a type of player that had that intensity, had that never die, never quit mentality. And Dan Campbell's level of consistency and what he preaches to his team. I actually asked one of the guys last week, I said, what was memorable about Dan's pregame speech, or what does he say when he gives you guys that pregame speech? And they said, you know what, listen, it isn't just about one moment and one speech and a bunch of words that he puts together to try to motivate us. He said it starts early in the week and it goes on all week long. So it's a continual drumbeat of, and there's a saying on the wall in the practice facility that said 2 things can happen. You can either think you're right or you can think you're wrong, and both can be true. Mm-hmm. Or you can think you can do it. Sorry, I misspoke. You can think you can do it, or you can think you can't do it, and either one will be true. So it's really a mentality of just believe and overcome adversity. And this team has really, the fact that they have not lost back-to-back games and something like 24 in a row. It just speaks to the consistency and their ability to put bad things behind. And that even narrows down to the most minute penalty or play in a game, that they can turn their backs and they can move forward and believe in themselves as a team and a connected unit. And it really is something I've never witnessed here in Detroit before with this Lions organization.
Jennifer, I always loved those post-game speeches in the locker room that they have on the NFL teams.
Yeah.
And with Dan Campbell,
Great.
this was great. I mean, it's very rare, but he's passing out game balls and the whole nine. And this is what I could really appreciate. And as a former player, to give a game ball to your general manager, he went on and said, this man is instilled. He's brought this team together. He's done a phenomenal job. To give the ball to your general manager right there in the middle of the locker room is one thing. And then, and without missing me, and a guy that we wanted here in Detroit turned around and gave it game ball to Jared Goff. Yeah. I thought that was class. I mean, class all the way. And to make that, to recognize your GM and a guy that everybody knows that he wanted to win that game against the Rams. I thought that was phenomenal speech at the post game.
And you know what? I really think that was the best one yet. So if you've been watching them as they go along, everyone is fantastic. And he would count up the wins as they went. That's 5. Let's get the next. That's 7. That's 10. And the Brad Holmes moment, I think what I really loved about it was, I mean, this guy was a scout. He toiled for 10 years as a scout with the Rams. And when he came to Detroit, he said, oh, yeah, we can have Jared as our quarterback. We'll take him any day. And everyone thought Goff was just a cast off in that trade. And I firmly believe if Brad Holmes wasn't part of the staff here, that he wouldn't have been, like, they curated his beginning in Detroit so carefully. And when they got Ben Johnson in there and those two collaborated to make sure that they were doing things that Jared was comfortable with, putting him in the best situation to win. And I love the way that they are just unabashed about saying Jared Goff is our quarterback. I love that guy. I have all the confidence in the world. They never wavered, even when he made some mistakes, even in that 3-13-1 season. You know, they had a lot of struggles early on, but they never wavered. There were no whispers. And that was the most defining part of that team, being able to move forward and talk about exercising the demons. I think for the city of Detroit, for them to get that playoff win against Matt Stafford, and also for Jared Goff, it was hugely important so that he could wake up the next day and say, okay, done. The business is finished. Let's move forward. And it was great. And I don't know if you guys saw back to Brad Holmes in the locker room after that game. He said, we went through darkness and it shaped us. And if there's anything that defines the grit of this team in a sentence, that is exactly it. And that also reverberates and echoes for the fan base and every single person in the organization, because we've seen the script where that team falls and falters in a big moment. And so far, this team is completely different.
Jennifer, our last one, and I hate to beat a dead horse from something that happened a week ago, but why did the fan base kind of really turn on Matthew Stafford and the bars, saying they would not allow a number 9 jersey in their business and stuff like that? That just, from afar, that just didn't look good.
And it's funny to me that looks bad from afar. And I know that even Darius Slay in Philadelphia said, y'all hating on Stafford and booing him, that's bad business.
1 minute.
But I'll tell you something. I think that when Matthew Stafford wanted out, people understood. And they said, thank you for your service, goodbye and good luck. And then when he went to the Rams and he had an opportunity to win for the Super Bowl, they rooted like hell for him. I mean, they had T-shirts that said, Detroit Rams, and that were Stafford jerseys. It was, this team has always loved Matthew Stafford. And I think it started as a playful sidebar. Hey, we don't need a number 9 Stafford, because I think a lot of fans were thinking, oh my gosh, I'm torn. I used to root for Matthew. How am I going to root against him? And people thought, what the hell? This is your Lions team. And we've waited, 3 decades for this moment to come. And people shouldn't be there rooting for the Rams. And I just think that kind of took on a little bit of a life of its own. And some bar owners said it. I don't think it was intended to be mean-spirited. I think it was just to kind of quell that Detroit Rams narrative that had gone on a few years ago. And so I don't think it was any way mean-spirited. I just think people, and talk radio does it too. People shouldn't be cheering Matthew Stafford. So I think, and Detroiters, let me say, we're a bit of a lunch pail mentality kind of group here. We're often overlooked and second guessed, and people don't always say nice things about Detroit. So I really think the Detroit versus everybody thing originated with the city of Detroit and the 313. And so people take things personally. And I just thought it got a little blown out of proportion. It was never mean spirited. I don't think there was anyone booing the Stafford kids on the sideline. I mean, we've heard a lot of crazy stuff since the game last week, but I'm glad it's over. I'm glad they got the win, and now we can move on to the Bucs. But nobody better be overlooking the Bucs.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hey Jennifer, thanks for jumping on with us. Appreciate you being candid about that. That was good stuff. We have so many Lion fans out here, and we understand as Cardinal fans living here as long as we have. This organization hasn't won much either. So enjoy the ride. It doesn't happen very often.
Well, we'll be out there next fall. I believe the Lions play the Cards on the road again, and so we'll come see you again soon.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jennifer. Appreciate it. It's Jennifer Hammond joining us. You can follow her on Twitter at HammerFox2. She's also does the post game for 97.1 The Ticket there in Detroit and Fox 2. So we appreciate her taking